everybody, this is the EpicGamingGuru, and I've been noticing that some people were requesting me a little bit more on tutorials when it comes to Will to Live, especially for new starting players who are trying to understand how the game's mechanics really work, because this game does have a little bit of some complexity when it comes to its mechanics, but all of them are pretty feasible and they're easily understandable once you get an idea of how Will to Live is. So let me go ahead and just break everything down for you guys here in this video. The do's and don'ts of Will to Live is called that for a reason, and I'm going to explain every little reason why. So without further ado, let's get a move on. So from the very start of the game, things can already start to get confusing because you have the selection of 4 different classes, each with their own specialties and reasonings to be there. The classes are somewhat self-explanatory to explain, but a majority of the reasons why people pick these classes is completely based on the weapon you're going to choose. If you're going to go with shotguns, you would go miner. If you're going to go with sniper rifles, you would go the hunter. If you were going with assault rifles, you would pick mercenary. And if you're going with nothing but SMGs, you would pick engineer. All the classes are completely proficient with no matter what pistol they're using, so you don't have to worry about what class you're playing with if you're using a pistol, but that's pretty much the easiest way to explain the classes. They're all very simplified, and it really just depends on the gameplay style you want to go for, so pick and choose your favorite and just move on from there. Whoa, this game is not very friendly when it comes to alt tapping, but there is one very important thing that I do need to illustrate here in this video, and that's the importance of the Makarov pistol. When it comes to the weapons in this game, I always had to put out that basic warning: do not sell any form of weapon you have unless you have an exact copy of said weapon. The Makarov pistol is, for some reason, one of the more harder pistols to get a copy of, and if you do lose this pistol, it is going to cost you about 300 tokens. It is much more simpler to just hold on to the Makarov pistol than it is to sell it, for it is a pretty decent money maker. The mailbox is also one thing you're going to have at level 5 that you'll be able to use to send items to yourself if you need to send them towards a different location, if you have a private stash in a different location, or if you want to commission items in a more better suited commission zone. There's also a storage in a majority of locations, often indicated by a weird little icon that looks like a safe, but these are pretty easy to find. If you need to find them, they're usually indicated next to the gun store, or at least at some important point on any location on the map. Every location you go through is going to have its own separate map and its own separate whereabouts of where certain things are. If I haven't already said it in my last video, whether you are buying or selling, it is generally recommended to make sure you know exactly who you're selling to. Some items will be worth more to certain other vendors, while other items will be worth a lot less. And I would never recommend ever needing to buy something of food or anything, but cider is definitely one I would recommend if you don't happen to have a moped yet. So if you really need to get somewhere fast and you don't want to waste stamina trying to get there, or you ran out of stamina and you just need more, just go ahead and buy a huge landslide of sliders. I would probably recommend at least about 3 or 5 of them. As for the notorious gun seller Rafik, he's definitely got more than enough arms and ammo to be able to keep you guys stocked up. He's got enough weapons in here to keep people provided, at least I believe up to level 15, and his stock is actually still pretty good. Selling to him would often result in selling a bunch of rotten meat and whatever else of any other necessities that people aren't willing to buy, but you could also go through the player market with him if you want to sell stuff for a decent price. I would recommend checking it out though time to time on commission to see what has went up and what has went down. You kind of have to have an economic understanding of how people want stuff in the marketplace in order to ensure the better sells. Lockpicking has also changed drastically throughout the entire time as I've been on Will to Live Online, and I do have to recommend trying to get a good grasp of it because you could spend quite a bit on time just trying to find more lockpicks to make. Although there are pretty good loot zones that you can find lockpicks at, it is definitely recommend trying it out and trying to see what you can find, because most of these lockpickable areas will often have pretty good decent stuff behind them. So take your time to understand how lockpicking is, and if you find a door with about 8 lockpicks to just open the damn thing, chances are that thing is probably going to be worthwhile just trying to lockpick through it. Okay, I do not have enough lockpicks to get this done. So after a while, your inventory and your safe locations might end up looking like this. Scattered messes everywhere, and sometimes you'll have to restock everything up properly, and there's going to be a lot of movement of items. So what I strongly suggest is to basically sell what you don't need while transferring items through the mailbox. That way you can actually get things to where they need to be. Otherwise, you're going to be like me, just spending hours in this game trying to figure out how to lower the spacing in your I'm having a stroke. The spacing in your stash. Holy crap, why was I having such a hard time finishing that sentence? You gotta love it when you arm to record anything and then suddenly it decides not to record any goddamn sentence that comes out of your mouth. But either way, I'm already going all the way across here towards more of the, I would believe this is the west side of the map, and over here is where I can usually find some pretty decent animals to hunt, such as the small boars or anything like that in general, to use my Makarov ammo to its fullest extent in order to increase the weapon's proficiency. And since each weapon has their own proficiency, I would highly recommend going for creatures that are most affected by them, because that's what's going to give you the most profit, or at least their drops are going to give you the most profit for ammo used. Another very important tip that I need to throw out there is that if you have been to a building, more than likely everything's usually respawned once you leave and come back. A lot of the stuff that's in the game respawns pretty quickly, so if you're trying to get certain items or trying to get certain profitable gains, it is definitely recommended to try to look through buildings and see what you can find. This game really can be just all scavenge and run if you really just want to play it that way, or you could play it a different way if you want to by simply doing like minor work such as mining and whatever, but it's really up to you what you want to go for in this game. There are certain ways to get by things faster, but again, it's all completely up to the player on how they want to play it within their playstyle. One very important key feature in the game is being able to put down stashes. Stashes can be also looted by other players, and it's often one of the few things that players seem to forget when they leave a stash behind in a certain location. Do not ever leave your stash anywhere where a player can see and grab it. People are very opportunistic in this game, and regardless if you are in a PvE or PvP based server, there's a very strong chance that even a normal player will look at your stash and be like, that guy's got some pretty good loot in there. I'm going to go ahead and grab everything in his stash. So if you're going to hide and make stashes, by all means put them in locations where players are more likely not to see it or even go near it. And only you are going to be able to know where you have that stash at all times. Alright, time to go ahead and finish up my boar hunting here, because it is going to be a lot of ammo to spend. This recording does not do justice as to how long I was actually hunting. My proficiency went all the way upwards of 25%, and my stashes are pretty much filled to the brim, and I still have a lot of ammunition left over. So overall, boar hunting, if you really need to level up your Makarov pistol and you want to do it in a more or less safe way, I would definitely recommend boar hunting between levels 7 to 10 if you guys want to farm them for at least a decent amount of proficiency. They're not a very huge money maker, not even any close to the cents. They are just really fun to kill though, and they're really easy to hunt. So definitely would recommend going through this if you want to spend time making money, at least in a different way. It's a bit slower, but it's still a good way to get your proficiency level up, and it's also a pretty fun way to spend ammo. And now I gotta go spend the rest of it before I get to the rest of this video. Alright, I'm pretty close to the sun outskirts right now, and I did manage to pick up a few things along the way and teleport myself back to the location, but there are a couple of things that I did forget in this video that I know for a fact that I'm going to basically suffer for. But either way, I'm gonna have to go check out like how much the stuff is worth in the shops. Maybe it's worth more or less, but I'm gonna make a prediction here and say it was like around 1,800 tokens. This video is a bit old, so I would not be surprised if I kind of forgot what the final profit margin was. Not even gonna deny it, some part of me really wishes that I didn't have to go through all that, because that takes a very long time to be able to get as many kills as I could with the Makarov to make the proficiency level great. But overall, I did manage to find a couple of extra items to sell, so not too bad. Alright, I think it's about high time that I end this video. Sorry everybody for being very late on making video content once again. I'm still trying to develop and get to the ideas of being able to make video content all over again, and quite frankly it has been a very interesting set amount of days these past couple of weeks, and which in itself deserves its own update video on my channel. But if you guys need advice, tips, or anything on most other games I've been playing recently, including Will to Live Online, feel free to tell me in the comment section if there has been anything that you guys may want to learn about that I may have missed. And otherwise, have a fantastic day, and I'll see you all next time.